check levels.
Let's go to your right a little bit because
Okay. So who are you both David's doctors, or who's the official?
I'm his primary. I've known him since he was a younger man.
Okay, talk to us about some of the medical risks he's going to be taking over the next 3 days.
There are major risks here in terms of blindness because we're going to be increasing the pressure as he stands upside down, as he hangs upside down. The pressure in his brain is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Potential for a blood vessel exploding in his brain, potential for a blood vessel exploding in his eye, is very low. And in fact, you'll see as the feet progresses, his eyes are going to start to swell, the blood vessels in his face are going to start to pop, and he's going to look pretty messy by the time this thing ends.
Okay, beyond being his doctor, you're obviously his friend as well, I'm sure. How concerned are you for him?
This is the worst part of this whole thing. I mean, I frankly don't like this law because I get very nervous. I've known David for many years. I always worry that something's going to happen. That's my nature. So the answer is very, very good.
Can you also put in context for us how this one, as far as the medical risks, compares to some of the previous stunts he's done?
Sure. The time I got most frightened I've ever been for all of David's stunts was when he stood on that big pole, because if he fell, the ball game was over. No one was there to catch him, and it would have been over. When he stood in ice, when he was entombed in ice, we were worried about all sorts of things like blood clots. But here, we get into real trouble because if he throws a clot or if he breaks the blood vessel in his brain, there's nothing stopping him. So we just have to hope it doesn't happen. So if it happens, it literally be really a tragedy for him.
And part of the appeal as well for doctors is to do or push the boundaries and test different things. What are you going to be testing?
We're going to be following all the pressures, his blood pressure and his eyeball pressure, and his ability to breathe well with Dr. Napolitano will be just following that, so and all the vascular stuff. But it's going to be really very, very, literally moment to moment, we're going to be keeping an eye on him. And we're in contact with him verbally during this entire time. If he has even a small bleed in his brain, he may have a seizure. And then he won't be able to communicate with us. And I've spoken with David, and there are a couple of things which he has told me which I am allowed to stop even for.
Can you feel any of those?
A seizure. If he starts bleeding profusely from his nose or his eyes, something really life-threatening, I have to stop.
And is there a period in the stunt where, the tipping point where it's the greatest risk of injuring himself?
I think the risk just slowly rises as time goes on.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Great.
It's going to be real interesting.
From an anesthesia point of view.
Right. There is the adaptation of all of this. It's very interesting. We see it with patients who, under great stress, psychological stress, when they hold it together and like literally with spit and adrenaline, and then after the event is over, all hell breaks loose because the adrenaline goes down, and then the body's ability to hold itself together just falls apart.
Sounds like a test medical class.
Yeah, it is.
I want to ask you, one other thing, just about, and whoever wants to answer this, fine. Just about the need for him to drink water to hydrate himself throughout it, and how that's going to work. Is he going to be hoisted up, have a drink, then go back down, or how's it going to happen?
Well, obviously it's going to be extremely important for him to be hydrated, and it's not just a matter of water. He needs to drink a beverage that also has electrolytes, has some salt, has some potassium, a little bit like Gatorade, to replenish some of the insensitive losses, some of the fluids that will leave. How he's going to do that exactly from a technical point of view, that I don't know personally, but from my understanding.
Yeah, I think what we're going to do is let's have a little container with a straw. As you can imagine, drinking upside down is different than we normally drink. But interestingly enough, even if you can drink upside down, because the body, the way the esophagus works, is it's a muscular contraction. So it doesn't matter which way you're standing, the muscular contraction with the fluids into the stomach. The hard part will be, which I think is, once it's in the stomach, how does it get distributed through the rest of the system? So it's going to be really interesting. No one's really done this ever before. We looked at the we may have to do is slightly tilt them almost to level for a few minutes to let the fluids get into the system and then put them back upside down. Because I have yet to figure out how it goes from the esophageal junction into the small intestine while he's totally upside down.
It's going to be challenging. Obviously, lucky enough, the body is designed that it will push fluids, it will push urine along the way, and a mechanism that's called peristalsis. That's the reason why astronauts in space do not need gravity to eat or to ingest food. This is a different situation because we're not in zero gravity. And in fact, gravity will be working completely against it. Still, the peristalsis should be able to push the food along, although some of it, fluids in this case, will be sitting in the stomach longer than what you would expect.
And what about bodily functions?
Bodily functions. That's going to be another interesting situation because, again, the kidneys that produce the urine then excrete the urine into the bladder through tubes called the ureters. And the ureters also have peristalsis. They move and they push the urine along the way. Being upside down, though, it's a little bit of a situation of having a stone in your kidneys that's partially blocking the urine. I would expect after 60 hours that probably some of the urine will be collecting into the kidneys themselves. Most of it will be going into the bladder, but some of it will be backing up into the kidneys, and we could see afterwards that his kidneys are going to be a little bit swollen also.
But how is he going to be set up so that he can go to the bathroom?
He will have a catheter, an external catheter, that will be connected to a bag.
Thanks.
I'm sure you'll empty on occasion.
That will.
That's not your job, is it?
Well, the key is that we have to make sure that he does make urine. Because if he, after 12 hours, he has zero urine in there, that's a very, very big warning sign.
For a blood clot?
No, because that means his kidneys aren't working. Or that means that the bladder is filling up and can't excrete it because he's upside down. You know, we still need a little help from gravity to pass water. And even though there's a contractile component to the bladder, but it's going to be very interesting to see. We're going to learn a lot. You know, David is used to this. This concept of enduring discomfort and pain is what David does. And I mean, there's a kind of a metaphor for all of us to understand what it means to live life and have a way of getting through things, so to speak. And he really is kind of an amazing young man. I've seen him do stuff. He did this recent breath hold on Oprah, which was 17 minutes and 4 seconds. Actually, he did an unofficial one in a pool, which was over 20 minutes, which was deemed physiologically impossible by every single expert we spoke to. And my view of if he can hold his breath for 20 minutes underwater, that's an astonishing, beyond physiologically astonishing. So his ability to use his mind to control his body is really, truly extraordinary.
Which also means kids don't try this at home.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so
very
much.
Welcome, guys.
Appreciate it.